Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. So today you join me here for another review on the channel. This time it's for Perfect Day at Coco Cay, which is Royal Caribbean's private island in the Bahamas. Now we visited Coco Cay back in August on our 4-night cruise on board Freedom of the Seas, and it was absolutely amazing. It was a beautiful island, so much to do, and what I thought I'd do in this video is take you through all the positives, give you a bit of a review of the island, our thoughts and impressions, and maybe a couple of kind of tips and tricks and some downsides as well about the island. But overall it's a fantastic island, and I'm going to use this video now to go through why we thought that. So the first thing I want to talk about is obviously the island itself. Now the island really is very, very pretty. It's a beautiful island from the moment you kind of see it into the distance, all the way through to your arrival as you dock, alongside it. And it's really, really pretty. It's so colourful. You can see Perfect Day at Coco Cay, in letters and stuff as you arrive. You've got all the colours of the water park. You've got the hot air balloon and all sorts going on. It really is absolutely, stunning to look at. It's just, it's so pretty. As you then move around the island, obviously you've got various different beaches, you've got the water, the beautiful kind of Bohemian water, everything else kind of going on around, and it's really, really pretty. There's not a bad looking area on this island. It's just visually to look at and to walk around and enjoy, you'll be blown away. It really is fantastic. I wanted to move on now towards the activities and stuff they have on board. There really is so much to do on board this island. When you get off the ship, you're generally there for kind of anywhere from 8 to maybe 12 hours depending on your itinerary. You're there quite early and you can kind of disembark very, very quickly, and straight away you've got all the different beaches, you've got snorkeling, you've got loads of little mini games. They've got this kind of area where they've got volleyball and large chess sets. There's even like a large snooker table which you play with footballs. You've got jet skis. You've then got the additional kind of activities and fees that require obviously an additional charge, such as the zip line, the water park, the hot air balloon. But you've got so much going on this island. So whether you're someone who wants to kind of lay by the water and enjoy the sun, have a drink or read a book, or someone who wants a bit more of a thrill, you've got so many options. There are a lot of additional charges on the island, but there's also so much that you can do that's complimentary. I've mentioned a few already, but just to kind of give another summary of what they are, you've got obviously the different beaches that you can lay on and enjoy, loads of sun lounges and chairs available. You've got the snorkeling, that's all free around the island. You've got the games such as the snooker tables, the volleyball courts, basketball, beach volleyball, that kind of stuff. You've then got the kind of main pool area where, again, no charge for that, you just enjoy the pool. There's live music playing, there's a DJ. You've got the water park kind of splash area, the pirate ship as you first get in, and then there's also a separate kiddie splash area as well. That again is free of charge, and you don't have to to pay to go in there. You just kind of come in and go at your own leisure, which is really nice. You've then got, separate to that, you've got the additional charges. Again, I've mentioned some of these already, but you've got the hot air balloon, you've got jet ski hire, there's a zip line, then you've got the thrill water park, and various other different activities and stuff around the island that you can all find out more information from the excursions desk on board the ship. But yeah, you will not be bored on the island, whether you're someone who wants high thrills or relaxation or somewhere in between. So much to do. So that was a really, really big positive. We weren't bored. We moved around the whole day. We kind of started at the beach, then we moved to the main pool area, then we went for a bit of an explore, and it's an amazing island with so much to do, so you will not be disappointed. So the next thing I wanted to talk about was actually the beaches themselves. Now, as you'd expect, the beaches and their locations and how popular they are kind of vary a little bit, and that generally is a factor down to how close they are to the ship, because generally you'll find that people don't want to walk too far when they initially get off the ship. They just kind of find the nearest beach you can and drop their stuff there before going for a bit of an explore. Now, we went to the beach that's kind of on the furthest kind of side away, simply because we wanted to go for a bit of a walk, bit of an explore, enjoy the island, and then obviously enjoy it slightly quieter beach. And that's exactly what it was. When we got there, the beach was beautifully quiet, and even after we had been there for maybe 2 or 3 hours, it was still lovely and quiet. Loads of seats available, didn't feel too busy. It had a great atmosphere because you had people enjoying themselves, but you didn't feel like you were too crowded or anything like that. The beaches themselves, beautifully sandy as you'd expect. I love that, you know, the water is so crystal, you know, clear all around as you'd expect as well. And the beaches themselves were really clean, lots of staff available. I love that obviously you've got a lot of lifeguards available just as an extra pair of eyes and additional safety. And compared to the likes of, for example, Ocean Cay, which we'll touch on in a future video, this beach, like I say, it was mainly sand, so it was comfortable to walk on. You could get in and out of the water with kids, no worries. And they're really, really pretty. You know, really clean, really looked after. You can, you know, build sand castles and do all that kind of fun stuff with the kids, and overall just incredible and stuff to look at and enjoy. So the next thing I wanted to touch on is the snorkeling. So the snorkeling you can do anywhere around the island. You can bring your own snorkel gear like we did, and you can head out into the water and obviously enjoy a bit of an explore. It was my first time snorkeling at any island, or anywhere for that matter, and I absolutely loved it. I really fell in love with it almost instantly. Being able to see, you know, underneath that beautiful crystal clear water, lots of wildlife, and the wildlife varies depending on where you are and the time of day. I've seen people find, you know, stingrays and little baby sharks or little fish. Other times there's a little bit less, but you can still, you know, enjoy the water. And there's different snorkeling locations all around the island, and you can just go at your own leisure and enjoy them, and it's amazing. There is actually an aircraft wreck, which I believe you can see on the map that will be popping up on the screen now. That's actually a little bit further out, so if you're a bit more of a confident kind of snorkeler or diver, you can obviously head out that way and enjoy that too. We didn't do that on our cruise because we didn't find out until kind of a little bit later on in our day, but definitely when we go back in the future we're going to want to go and explore that area. But the snorkeling is absolutely amazing at this island. You get so many great opportunities to see, you know, really beautiful wildlife, and just, yeah, we really enjoyed that. It's a really big positive for us about Coco Cay. So moving on to my next positive, and I think this one is really important, because Coco Cay actually has the capacity for 2 Royal Caribbean ships. On our day we were on Freedom of the Seas when we arrived, and then a few hours later I actually realised that Independence of the Seas, which is a very similar sized ship, had also arrived. So you're talking in the region of maybe, you know, 7,000 to 8,000 passengers depending on you know, what capacity they're at. So if you think you've got all those passengers arriving to the island, the majority of which are probably going to venture onto the island and explore, even in the latter stages of the day, even moving location as we did, it really had a good vibe to it. It had a really great atmosphere. But the main kind of point I wanted to touch on is that they had lots of seating available. On the main beach that we were at originally, there were chairs, you know, everywhere without feeling crowded. You had plenty of seats and stuff around the pool, some in the shade, some more in the open. You had cabanas to rent, you had the kind of private area that you could rent that was a bit more expensive. You know, there really was a lot of seats available, which is just what you want, because you don't want to have to be worrying about, you know, are you going to get a seat, or rushing to the island to get one in the morning. If you want to take your time at breakfast or enjoy the quieter ship for a little bit, you can, and feel confident that you can get onto the island and find a seat. As I said, a good top tip there is to venture a little bit further away from the kind of the main initial part of the island, simply because most people will get off the ship and they head to kind of the first beach they come across. If you're willing to maybe walk an extra 10-15 minutes, or get obviously the tram to the other side, you'll generally find that the beaches are a little bit quieter, as was the case on our cruise. But yeah, considering there was 2 ships in port, lots of seats available, and this leads me now into my next point as well, was the kind of atmosphere and vibe of the island. It was amazing. Everyone was having such a good time from the moment you arrived. When you get off the island, everyone's obviously happy and, you know, kind of excited, getting you ready for your day. And as you kind of drive or walk kind of towards the main part of the island, you've got dancers and stuff playing music. They're all singing and welcoming you to the island, singing the kind of earworm that you will then get stuck in your head throughout the whole day. I'm not going to sing it for you now, but those of you that have visited, or maybe you've seen some footage from the island, you'll know what I mean. But everyone's really happy and excited. And that continues everywhere. The beaches and stuff, it's peaceful, but you can see people are just enjoying, you know, some relaxation, having a bit of a laugh, enjoying the water. And then by the main pool area that we went to a little bit later on, I was really impressed that considering how many people you had there, you had such a kind of great kind of vibe and atmosphere at the pool. You had the kind of swim up bar area, which was also a kind of walk around bar on the other side. There you had the kind of DJ booth, and there was kind of a large crowd there, and they were having a bit of a party. And if you wanted to kind of be in the centre of that and kind of enjoy the music a bit louder, you could. Equally, if you wanted to be a bit further away in the pool, you could still enjoy the music without being kind of right in the heart of the action, if you like. And people were doing just that. Some people I saw were reading books in the pool and just enjoying the sunshine. Some had drinks, some were just going for a bit of swim, having their kids have a little paddle and stuff. So you had such a mixture, but the kind of key point there is everyone was having a good time. You've got the staff walking around, you know, offering drinks and being really friendly. You've got loads of seats available in the shade, and it was really, really impressive. I honestly don't think anyone had a bad day when we were there, which explains why it is obviously perfect day at CocoCay. It really is great. And the same extends to the water parks and all those areas, the splash areas and stuff. Everyone's having a laugh, having fun. You know, kids are absolutely, you know, loving it and stuff because they can run through all the sprinklers and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, the kind of atmosphere on the island, kind of like relaxed but party, kind of just fun, and yeah, highly recommend it. Couldn't fault it for that at all. Now, the next thing I wanted to touch on, I think is really important, particularly for those of you that obviously have families, have little ones, and that is stuff to do for kids. We were a little bit sceptical when we first kind of were looking at the island, just because obviously we didn't know what there was on the island, what you could do, you know, whether the kids would like it. And we've got a teenager and a young little boy as well, a toddler, and we can honestly say they both had an absolute blast. There's so many things you can do for kids. Obviously, as I've mentioned, you've already got the little games area, so you've got the snooker, and you've got the, you know, the volleyball and, you know, table tennis, all that kind of stuff. And then you've just got the general kind of sun lounging if they like to do that. You've got snorkeling or just enjoying the water, and it's quite nice that you can, you know, be on the beach and in the water, and they can have a splash or play in the sand, and you've got the ability to keep an eye on them while enjoying it yourself. And then obviously you've got the splash areas. So as I mentioned, there's a couple of different splash areas. You've got this kind of pirate ship area that's just to the left of the Thrill Water Park entrance. That's again completely free. You can just enjoy that. There's staff all over the ship looking after and making sure they're safe, and there's like cannons you can spray people and some slides. And then you've also got the kind of main kids kind of splash area and pool area, and that's a little bit kind of further into the island. And again, loads of slides, loads of staff making sure everyone's okay. Lots of different, you know, things you can enjoy. And again, that's just a small part of it. You've got all the extra charge activities, zip lining, you know, hot water ballooning, jet skis, all that kind of stuff. But there's so much you can do for little ones, and honestly, I think both our boys loved it. And what I really, you know, appreciated as a parent is you then had obviously shaded areas as well, so you could obviously keep them in the shade, keep them cool, put sun cream on, all that kind of stuff, without having to worry about them being in, you know, direct sunlight all day. And obviously, because you're there for quite a while, you can venture back to the ship. There's nothing to stop you venturing back to the ship at lunchtime, having a bit of a nap, you know, going to the pools on the ship, anything like that, and then venturing back out later on in the day. But in terms of stuff on the island, if you were going to stay on the island for the day as we did, there is lots to do there for kids. They will not be disappointed. So the next positive that I wanted to discuss were a couple of little bits that, again, really appreciated and really kind of handy to have a note as a parent. The first one is that umbrellas are actually provided as well on the beaches, which I think is absolutely fantastic. If you think of how many people you're expecting on the island, and obviously you're in the Bahamas, it's roasting hot, particularly during the summer periods. Having shade, particularly for little ones, is absolutely key, and for adults as well. Obviously, you could be in the sun for, you know, anywhere from a few hours all the way up to 8 or 10 hours, depending on what time you get off the ship. And it's great that you don't have to worry about, you know, going to hire an umbrella or drag one from the ship or anything like that. You can just, you know, find a sun lounger on the beach, and there's an umbrella there ready to go. I mentioned that because other cruise lines, for example MSC on our later cruise line, you actually had to hire an umbrella. So everyone does it slightly differently, but on CocoCay they're provided, so that's a big positive. It means you can get some shade, or see everyone can keep cool and you know, stay out of the sun. So now I wanted to talk about the food options at CocoCay. You had some great food options on the island. You obviously got a couple of different buffet areas, including one really kind of big central buffet area, which we went to just as it was starting to open. So I'm not sure how kind of busy it would have gotten later on. I obviously presume with it being, you know, able to hold 2 ships in port, that it would probably get very, very busy if you went at peak times. But obviously it is a buffet. You can take it back to your sun lounger if you want. You can take it kind of elsewhere on the island. But the buffet area itself was very, very big. It had the usual kind of stuff, burgers, fries, and obviously the staff work incredibly hard to get everything cooked. They had a lovely kind of like Mexican area, and they had kind of different stations of various different meat and rice, beans, and then you could kind of create your own tacos and take that to like a salad bar to get salsa and all those bits. They had ice cream and free drinks, and that was really handy. I do think the food was very, very good. I must admit, I did question a little bit, and this is kind of bringing me into a slight negative, which is that the food, for example, I felt like had been out for quite a long time in terms of like the salad stuff. I remember passing through in the morning, and then when we came kind of back later on, after kind of an explore, it's obviously still been sat there. Now it is covered up, it's not open directly to the heat, the sun's not beaming down on it by any stretch of the imagination, but it's just kind of a note. Obviously they kind of have been and done this for years and stuff, so they know kind of how to keep everything safe and what have you. But it's just maybe a note for me is that obviously certain bits may be out for a little while, so it might be worth kind of going a bit early. But I don't know, that's personal preference. It's not really a huge negative, because obviously everything else is cooked fresh. They're rotating it, staff staff are stirring it and all that stuff, just as they were doing on the ship. You also had other little kind of venues dotted around. So by the kind of beach that we were at initially, you've got little hut and stuff, and they do burgers and hot dogs or chicken wings, mozzarella sticks I think was an option. So it depends on kind of what you fancy. If you want to stay at one beach and have some small kind of snacks or some light meals, you can. If you want to kind of go to the buffet and have a bit more of an extensive option, then obviously you can do that as well. And obviously that's all free and included in your cruise fare, as is the next kind of positive, which is the little juice station. So if you have a drinks package, you can use that on the island at the various bars. You can also obviously buy cocktails or beers or anything kind of as you go, but if you just wanted to enjoy some juice or water or anything like that, at various different locations around the whole island, they've got little juice stations. You can grab a glass of ice and get some juice and literally walk it back down to the beach. So again, really big positive there. When you've got little ones and stuff, obviously they get thirsty quite a lot, and it's important to stay hydrated in the sun. You can just do these stations were everywhere, so just look on your map or ask a staff member and they'll be more than happy to direct you to one of those. But again, another really big positive there for CocoCay. So continually working down my list then, the next positive I've got, a little bit of a quirky one, but I love that you've got some swim up bars on the island. So by the initial beach that we went to, for example, there's a little swim up bar that you can obviously swim up to, get out and just enjoy a bit of a drink. It's fully staffed and what have you throughout the day, and I love that because you can just stand there if you want and have a drink, look out at the beach, enjoy the kind of water and what have you, and it's a little bit different. The drinks package will work there as well, which is fantastic, and I just like that they had that as an option. A little bit quirky, but a nice little bonus to the island. Moving down to my next point then, I already have kind of touched on this a little bit I think, but there are lots of lifeguards available on the island, and I think that's really impressive as you kind of get on the ship where they've got loads of lifeguards by the various pools. The same applies to the island. You've got staff dotted around everywhere, obviously fully trained to carry out any rescue or anything like that. CPR, all that kind of stuff. But I was really impressed actually. They were literally dotted everywhere, all fully kind of ready to go, and they were actually doing an amazing job of monitoring all the different kind of aspects. Which if you think how many people you've got there as well, these staff do an amazing job, obviously in the sweltering heat as well. So that's really appreciated, particularly as a parent. And the same was on the kind of main beaches. Again, you've got them kind of dotted at various stations, and then you've also got jet skis and stuff doing the kind of perimeter. If anyone kind of ventured a little bit too far out, they would be there super quick just to kind of make sure they're safe and kind of heading in the right direction. But that was a really kind of key point for me. Very impressed with that. So again, I'm just working my way down the list of positives and negatives I've got here. I've already mentioned about the games area. Again, volleyball, like snooker with footballs, chess, and they had like drafts and all this other stuff going on as well. Kind of large, like full-size sets, which is really fun, really quirky. Me and William walked past them kind of nearer the end of our day, and there were people enjoying beach volleyball and some of the games, and again, having a great time. They're completely free. You just wait in line if someone's there as such. You can obviously play with people and friends and what have you, and it's just a great little aspect to the island. Really like that. Very, very quirky and different, but definitely a nice bonus anyway. So another point I've got here is about obviously the cleanliness of the island itself, and also the staff just in general. I've already touched on kind of the lifeguards, but the staff, in terms of entertainers, in terms of just help staff, shops, you know, anything really. They were all absolutely fantastic. Everyone we met was super friendly, super helpful. I met a lovely lady just outside the beach club who was asking about our YouTube channel and was, you know, asking about our day and how we were finding it. You've got all the tram staff and stuff that drive you around. They have a bit of a laugh with you, a chat, and it's super, you know, super appreciated that everyone's, you know, having a really good time, really helpful, and it's, you know, they're there to make your experience as great as possible, and that's really appreciated and stuff as a cruiser. And it was just nice chatting with them and, you know, just learning more about their lives as well. But they work so hard. The island is absolutely immaculate, and you think obviously when the ships go leave the port at the end of the day, there's lots of staff that stay behind and, you know, make sure it's, you know, kept immaculate, that they, you know, they tidy up, they do, you know, so much behind the scenes. And you can definitely see it when you get to the island. It is immaculate and absolutely beautiful. So I put that down as a positive, as it is really nice to appreciate that on the island. So obviously I've gone through quite a lot of positives here at quite a quick pace, so I do apologise if I've spoken a little bit fast. I'm going to come on to my final kind of positive now, and that is that you do have some great photo spots throughout the whole island and of the ships themselves. So obviously the island is very photogenic. You've got the Thrill water park there, which looks absolutely amazing when you first arrive. You've got the colourful hot air balloon. You've got obviously you know, the island and beaches itself that are really pretty, and then you've also got some great photo opportunities kind of as you initially get onto the island of the ships as well, so you can have a little selfie with the ship, you can take some nice photos. There's plenty of like family photo opportunities where you can obviously stand there and have photos of the ship, and there are photographers as well, so if you've got a photo package or if you'd like to purchase, you know, a professional photo, they'll be stood there throughout the day taking professional photos of you with the ships in the background, which I think is a nice bonus. And yeah, I just really like that. So that's kind of all my positives and stuff for a minute. Obviously there's a lot to say about this island, but overall and stuff, my kind of advice would be to try and experience it for yourself. If you're ever kind of debating a cruise out in the Caribbean, the Bahamas, anything like that, and you're not sure whether to kind of book an itinerary with CocoCay on, I personally believe it's a must do. It's absolutely amazing, and for me, it would be a big part of any cruise I now choose to do with Royal Caribbean and out that way, just because it is that good in my personal opinion. That being said, not every kind of island is perfect, so I have got a couple of kind of little negatives, if you want to call it that I'm going to run through now, but these would not stop me from booking the island at all. So my first kind of mini negative, if you like, I've already touched on very briefly, and that was about the buffet and just some of the food being out kind of maybe a little bit too long for my personal liking. I'm sure obviously maybe it was kind of kept cool underneath. They were kind of on refrigeration units or stands maybe, I'm not 100% sure, but obviously it's still out in a kind of a hot open air, if you like, even if it's partly covered. So that's just a minuscule thing for me. It doesn't change my opinion of the food or the island at all, but it's just kind of something I didn't know kind of walking past it, and I thought I'd mention it because everyone's obviously different and has different expectations of things like food, for example, on board their cruise. Moving on to my next kind of slight negative, obviously it is a very large island, and the trams and stuff available, I can imagine potentially, as we had at one point, just maybe issues in getting them as well. It was kind of approaching 11 or 12 o'clock when we wanted to move from the kind of furthest away beach kind of towards the main pool, and the second ship hadn't quite kind of started disembarking then, and when we initially got to the trams it was actually full, so me and Oliver could get on but Kate and William had to walk. So not a major issue, you just factor in kind of moving around the island, getting back to the ship in time, but obviously if you are someone who maybe requires a little bit of extra assistance, it might just be kind of worth thinking about you know, additional ways to kind of help you know, get around the island and stuff like that. You can book additional services. Really minor negative, but again, it's all part of the experience. If you kind of you know, struggle to walk maybe, or just have little ones that are really tired, bless them, it's just worth knowing that there might be a little bit of a wait for the trams, as you'd expect given how many people are on the island. That being said though, there are lots of kind of different services and stuff available for assistance, and it's definitely worth checking out that, because Royal Caribbean do a fantastic job at looking after their cruises. So then, my final kind of negative, and I did mention this in our Freedom of the Seas review, that'll be down below in the description if you haven't seen that already, and that's just to do with the upcharges really. I completely understand obviously why these cruise lines do that, and these are additional charges. So obviously there's by no means that you have to do them. There are additional options that if you wish to do, you can. So for example, that's things like the water park, the hot air balloon, the zip line, jet ski hire, all that kind of stuff. And obviously most cruise lines offer these in some way or another, but I just thought I'd mention it anyway. For example, the water park was averaging around $100 or slightly more per day, which if you compare to kind of like a US theme park, maybe SeaWorld for example, or Aquatica at SeaWorld, it's roughly the same. But I'd say that obviously this kind of water park isn't as large and isn't as extensive. The only reason I mention is that it would be nice, obviously, if it was free and it wasn't included in your kind of cruise fare, and obviously you could enjoy that. But obviously if you've got a family of 4 or 5, that starts to add $400, $500, maybe even $600 on top of your cruise already. So it's personal preference at the end of the day. Is that worth it to you? That's down to obviously everyone's individual opinion. For us, it's something that we would definitely like to do in the future, but having little ones, we didn't see the value in it, particularly when it was at full price. Obviously you can get different deals and bargains. You can keep an eye out for like Black Friday sales, and they lower the price for some of these excursions and extras. So it's always worth checking back your cruise booking and having a little look around. But some of the kind of upcharges were quite expensive. The zip lining is another one. You know, if you think of how short an experience that is, I think I heard someone say that was kind of $50 or $60, which seems quite high for a particular kind of similar experience to maybe what you'd get onto land. But not the biggest deal in the world, but I thought I'd mention it anyway. The island is still fantastic, and as I say, these are all optional. You don't have to do them, but if it's, you know, if you enjoy the water parks, if you enjoy zip lining or, you know, jet skis or anything like that, it is there as an option. Not a big downside. Would it change my opinion of the island? Absolutely not. There is still so much to do on this island that is included in your cruise fare, and I think, you know, the island is generally absolutely fantastic. So there we are then. I've been through a variety of positives and negatives about Coco Cay, Royal Caribbean's island in the Bahamas. If you've made it this far in the video, I really appreciate it. I know I've gone through a lot of different points here and I talk far too much, but I just kind of wanted to give you our kind of opinion and experience and stuff of our time on the island. Kate's been to the island twice now. She first went back in May, and when she came back from that cruise, she said, you know, I really hope you love it. I think you will. And we then obviously went as a family in August, and it was exactly that. I personally was absolutely blown away by it. I had such a great day on the island, as I know Kate and the boys did. And like I say, for me, any kind of cruise that I'm looking at with Royal Caribbean out that part of the way, if it's got perfect day at Coco Cay on there on the itinerary, I'm completely sold already, because it really was, to me, that good of an island. We then did Ocean Cay a little bit later on in the cruise, well, a separate cruise with MSC. Completely different experience that. But there is going to be a video coming to the channel soon about a comparison between those. So if you're interested to hear about that, then you know, hit that subscribe button down below, because that'll be coming soon. But yeah, that's Coco Cay for you. Great time, and yeah, highly recommend it. If you have made it this far, again, I really appreciate it. A like on the video would be really appreciated, as it helps us out a bunch. That's going to be all for this video though. In the meantime, if you're new to that channel, hit that subscribe button down below. And yeah, many thanks for watching. We will see you in the next one. Take care.